organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, International Exchange. Why the UI will pay foreign lawyers a potential of $550 per hour.
Hawkeye shots, the next flu shot on the market could be one made by UI researchers.
And in sports, #1 falls. A whole lot of basketball in the Monday evening whip-around.
That's all coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Tuning into your Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Alyssa Bergamini.
And I'm Stephen Duran.
The University of Iowa will pay a law firm in the country of Jordan up to $550 per hour to defend charges against administrators brought by fired UI professor Malik Jaweed. The disgruntled radiology professor was fired by the university for alleged harassment. Jaweed is now accusing former medical school dean Paul Rothman and Associate Dean Lois Jice of threatening him over the phone after he returned to his home country. It is unclear what exact charges had been brought against the pair, and the Jordanian firm that the UI hired is investigating if their country has jurisdiction to charge him and Rothman. The next hearing in the case will occur on April 21st.
The University of Iowa is one of 4 institutions involved in a clinical trial to test a new flu vaccine. The H3N2 influenza typically comes from pigs, but there are certain strains of this virus that circulate in people. Since July 2011, there have been more than 300 confirmed cases of the H3N2 virus. Most of these infections are associated with direct and long exposure to pigs, although some person-to-person transmission has occurred. In the new trial, participants provide 5 blood samples used to evaluate responses to the vaccine. Researchers also look at reactions and monitor participants for any changes following the first vaccine. Symptoms of H3N2 are similar to the seasonal flu. They include fever, cough or runny nose, body aches, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. This kind of flu is similar to the swine flu from 2009, but it is not the same virus that is causing the current flu.
Worried because we know that influenza viruses can eventually sometimes evolve to becoming much more transmissible. They can be passed from person to person easier and then can cause the next pandemic of influenza.
If you are interested in being a part of the flu clinical trial, contact the Vaccine Research and Education Unit at 319-356-4848.
The fate of Justin Marshall is nearly in the jury's hands. The defense rested its case Monday in the ongoing trial in which the 22-year-old is accused of murdering Iowa City landlord John Versipt in 2009. All the evidence and witness testimonies in the case are now submitted, and only the closing arguments remain to sway the jury. Those will take place Tuesday morning. Marshall himself never took the stand in the case. And coming up on Daily Iowan TV, Going Green, the UI is going up against the Big Ten in a new type of competition, recycling.
And in sports, we're breaking down this weekend's huge Iowa wrestling victory over #1 Penn State.
But first, our own Megan Ticknor is in the Daily Iowan TV studio. And Megan, it wasn't too bad out for February today, but what can we expect for tomorrow?
That's right, Alyssa. Tomorrow should be similar to today, although we may see less sun. We are expecting to see some clouds during the day tomorrow, and in the morning it'll be below freezing around 19 degrees. In the afternoon, streets could be slushy again with temperatures hovering around freezing before it cools off to 25 degrees at night. Taking a look at the extended forecast, temps are looking up, and the snow should melt with highs around 40 Wednesday through Friday. It should be a warmer weekend with an expected 48 degrees on Saturday before going back down to 41 on Sunday. Keep in mind there is a slight chance of rain on Wednesday and Sunday. Only 20% though, so don't count on it. That's a look at tomorrow and the week's forecast. Back to you, Alyssa and Stefan.
Iowa is 2 days into a different kind of Big Ten season, one that relies on every student on campus to take a title. Yesterday marked the opening day of Recycle Mania 2013, an annual competition where the UI will compete against hundreds of North American universities, including other Big Ten schools, to recycle as much waste as possible. Participating schools are judged on a number of categories, such as waste minimization. The university currently recycles about 50% of its waste, but officials hope this campaign can boost the number to 60%. This year's competition ends on March 30th. Now let's take a look at what's happening outside of Iowa. A brewery in the Alaskan capital claims to be making the world's first, quote, beer powered by beer, end quote. Most beer companies sell the used grain to local farmers, but in the rural city of Juneau, this option is costly. So the Alaskan Brewing Company has installed a one-of-a-kind furnace which uses grain that has already made beer to power most of the operation. The furnace cost $1.8 million to be specially built, but the business's engineering manager estimates the new system could save the Alaskan Brewing Company upwards of $450,000 per year.
The 15-year-old Pakistani girl shot by the Taliban after speaking out for girls' education made her first video statement on Monday since the assassination attempt. Malala said she's recovering, quote, day by day, end quote. In a video filmed on January 22nd, the teenager is expected to remain in the UK, where she's received most of her medical treatment for some time for both health and safety reasons.
A massive probe by the European Union's police agency Europol has revealed hundreds of soccer matches worldwide may have been fixed. The findings of an 18-month investigation were announced today, and it appears almost 700 matches had outcomes that were determined by organized crime. Games fixed were both league play and international games, and the fixes resulted in what's equivalent to $10.9 million American in gambling profits.
And from football to American football, Sunday's Super Bowl 47 had an unexpected 34-minute delay midway through the third quarter at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome when some of the stadium's lights went out. Officials said the outage was due to abnormalities, and a full report would eventually be released. When the play resumed, the Baltimore Ravens held off a San Francisco 49ers comeback for a 34-31 victory. And now for a look at everything black and gold, including some huge accolades. Let's go to Annie Constable in Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio.
Thanks, Alyssa. How about Beyonce's lights out performance last night? And as you know, the Baltimore Ravens are Super Bowl champs. But what does that mean for us in Hawkeye country? You wouldn't think much, right? Well, think again. Former Hawkeye standouts Marshall Yanda and Sean Considine are champions as well. The Ravens' 34-31 victory over the San Francisco 49ers, combined with New York Giants' success in last year's big game, means members of the Black and Gold have taken home championship hardware in 2 consecutive seasons, with former Hawk Tyler Sash earning a ring last season. So we kick off today's show with a Daily Iowan TV Sports congratulations to both Marshall and Sean. Congrats, guys. And while the big game may have taken place in the Big Easy, the biggest wrestling duel in the country was in Iowa City this past weekend, with Tom Brand's number 3 Hawkeyes knocking number 1 Penn State off their throne. Daily Iowan TV Sports' Tessa Hirsch was Matt's side for the duel. Tessa?
That's right, Annie. A lot of fireworks in Carver Friday night, with Iowa taking down number 1 Penn State. Matt McDonough got things started in a rematch from the national title bout at 125, needing 3 overtimes to take down Nico Megaludis. Using an escape with 4 seconds left, McDonough took the match 2-1, setting the tone for Iowa. While McDonough's match was certainly electrifying, the lone pin of the night came from Tony Ramos against Jordan Conaway. Ramos made quick work of Conaway, pinning him with 37 seconds left in the second period, not needing to go to a third. Penn State did manage to make things interesting and roared back, needing to win the final match with their perfect season on the line. But Iowa's Bobby Telford came through late for the Hawks in the last match of the night against John Gingrich, and he did so using a riding time advantage to seal the win for the Hawks. Final team score, Iowa 22, Penn State 16.
It may have been a big weekend for Hawkeyes on the gridiron and grapplers on the mat, but both hoops teams suffered costly losses over the weekend. Things were looking up for the men's squad heading into yesterday's contest with Minnesota after the Hawks swept aside Penn State 76-67 last Thursday in Carver. The win improved the Black and Gold's overall mark to 14-7 and gave them a golden opportunity to put themselves back in the discussion for an NCAA tourney bid. But failure to execute down the stretch cost the Hawks again at the barn, falling to the Gophers 62-59. Bluder's bunch also fell in the final minutes of the game, dropping a heartbreaker to Northwestern 67-65 on a last-second layup by Wildcat guard Carly Lucer. For a more in-depth look at everything taking place over the weekend, let's get caught up with our Monday evening whip around.
Hello and welcome to the Whip Around. I'm Kate Constable here at Carver Hockey Arena. This past weekend, the Iowa men's basketball team lost a heartbreaker in Minneapolis as Minnesota's Austin Hollins drained a three with 11.6 seconds left to put the Gophers up by 1. The Hawks had a chance to come back down the floor and win the game with a shot by Mike Gazelle, but once again, it was Hollins that came up with the big play. Gazelle was stripped of the ball, and while diving to recover it, the ball was whistled out of bounds and last touched by the Hawks. 2 free throws by the Gophers sealed the deal as they went on to win 62-59. Now let's toss it to Lauren for a look at your women's basketball.
All right, thanks, Kate. And I'm also right outside Carver Hawkeye Arena, where the Iowa women's basketball team had a heartbreaking loss to Northwestern. Now, a last-second layup by Northwestern ended the game at 67-65. And the Iowa women's basketball team had a hard time shooting as whole, and with their end of season fastly approaching, we're hoping that they can get it together. And we'll see how things end up on Thursday when the team travels to Minnesota to face the Gophers. And now I'm going to throw it over to Rebecca, who's covering swimming.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm here poolside where the Hawkeyes just returned from a weekend away in Evanston, Illinois. The Hawkeyes attended Northwestern's Invitational, where the women fell to Ohio State, but were able to defeat Nebraska, who they lost to earlier in the season. The Hawkeye men took on Missouri State, Notre Dame, and Northwestern, and came with a victory against all 3 teams. The Hawkeyes will be back in the pool this weekend as they take on Western Illinois here at the Campus Wellness and Recreational Center. That's all for me. Let's take a look at Hawkeye tennis with Alyssa Bergamini.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm here at the Hawkeye Tennis and Recreation Complex, where a lot of action has been going on between both the men and women's tennis team. Now, the men were here this past weekend competing against in a dual meet doubleheader. In their first game, they beat Bradley 5-2. In their second game, they beat Western Illinois 7-0. The team will be hosting again this weekend Creighton and Bradley. And even more exciting, the women are here today competing against number 18 ranked Notre Dame, so look out for those results. Well, that's all for our Monday edition of Whip Around. Back to you guys at the desk.
Great whip, ladies, and thanks to Alyssa for going to the arena before taking a seat at the news desk. One last Hawkeye sports update for the night. A month after it was reported, the Iowa football program officially announced Monday that DJ Hernandez has joined the staff as a graduate assistant, while assistants David Rye and Eric Campbell have both left the program for other coaching opportunities. Now that's going to do it for us here in the sports studio. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Annie. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at tomorrow's edition of the Daily Iowan. We'll have more details on the final stages of the Justin Marshall trial.
And read a preview of the school board's vote on the district's diversity plan Tuesday. Well, that's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.